This Mosai Institute came into being in 2002. Prior to that, this Japanese language course was a part of the Japanese Culture and Information Center. It was run by the Japan Culture and Information Center. The North India Speech Contest is organized by Mosai. And then the All India Speech Contest, that is also organized by Mosai, in which, as you would be knowing, students from the East, students from the South, students from the West, and students from the North, all the winners in the contest in the respective regions, they come and participate in this All India Speech Contest that is held in Delhi.
Jawaharlal Nehru University is one of the pioneering institutes in India as far as Japanese language studies is concerned. So our Center for Japanese Studies is quite active in organizing seminars and webinars which are actually related to Japanese language, literature, studies and culture. Then we also organize, annual cultural festival called Kizuna, wherein Japanese learning students from other universities and institutions of Delhi as well as NCR region, they participate. Then there is an organization called JALTAI, which is Japanese Language Teachers Association of India, and it holds essay contest annually apart from the regular lectures and seminars. Recently, actually, in this essay contest, school category was also added to open it to the Japanese language learning school students apart from the earlier existing, junior and senior category.
We started JALSTA, Japanese Language School Teachers Association, in 2010, and we registered it in 2015. Under it, we have school teachers teaching Japanese from Delhi, NCR, and now slowly we have teachers joining from all over India. Different schools teaching in Bombay, Pune, Chennai, Bangalore, who are a part of our organization, and also different institutes, teachers of different institutes who are not teaching at schools but who want to be a part of the training process at JALSTA. We have the annual JALSTA trip where we take Japanese language students from different schools to Japan together under the JALSTA umbrella. Teachers with their students participate. We stayed at the Olympic Center, Yoyogi Park, and Pan India Japanese has a huge presence in universities and colleges. Delhi definitely it has a larger presence in the schools, Delhi NCR. There are schools where Japanese is started even in class nursery. It's nursery, KG, class 1, they introduce Japanese, just the songs and colors, etc. And then in grade 4 and 5, they initiate hiragana, katakana.
I think that the awareness about Japan and Japanese language is more in Bangalore and Pune, maybe because of IT, maybe because of any other factors. In Mumbai, whenever students thought of learning a foreign language, it was always French or German. So we came up with this idea a few years ago, just trying to introduce Japan to school students. So every year we've selected 6 schools and their students, three members from each school come, and we hold this quiz contest where we ask them a lot of questions about Japan, culture, history, all kinds of things. So almost 40 years ago, Mr. Nikunj Parekh met his soon-to-be wife, Mrs. Jyoti Parekh, who was already doing bonsai, and he fell in love with the art form and started doing it. They are world famous now. They've been teaching bonsai in Mumbai throughout. They have classes once a week and anybody can join, and they're especially trying to target younger people, even school students, because as you know, it takes about 30 years to get a completely formed bonsai. We have a Japanese language speech contest which is currently in its 46th year. But the students participating in this felt the pressure a lot. So people were always tense, they had to win, there was fierce competition. So looking at all of this, we at the Teachers Association of Japanese felt that we wanted to hold some kind of event where people didn't stress themselves out. So we decided to introduce the Bunkasai, and we've been holding it till 2007. In 7 and 8, there was only one day, and that was called the Performance Day. So we'd invite students from every Japanese language institute, and they'd come and they'd represent their institute. So they would sing or perform dramas. Sometimes, they would have poetry recitals, anything that they could do in Japanese.
I have participated in all these Bunkasai events when I had joined the Japanese courses, starting from a certificate course. And as also, Sensei always encouraged me to participate in all these events to have fun, in order to make language learning more like an enjoyable event. So we have participated. I have volunteered myself during Bunkasai events. There are so many workshops in where one can get insights of Japanese culture, and it is a great place to facilitate cultural exchange.
I'm the CEO and founder of a company called Fujiwara Japanese Consultant in Mumbai. So in 2018, we did a Japanese Indo-Japan Cultural Exchange program with All Nippon Airways and the Asahi Group. So there was a lot of delegates from the Asahi, Mitsubishi Group, as well as All Nippon Airways delegates had come from Japan. Japan Railway Seminar was organized by us, and these were the railway delegates which had come from Japan, and they were all assigned for 6 months training program in Mumbai. So they also were very inquisitive to know about Indian culture, the way of working with Indian people, because they were going to stay in India for a brief period.
So even the Bonsai Association of India, they hold, so whoever's a part of it and from based in Bombay, they also hold exhibitions and guided tours through their collections in Bombay. So my aunt, she often gets guests who want to see her collection, and she's converted her entire rooftop into like an area where she showcases. She's created various platforms and she presents them in like a mythical forest kind of a way. I feel like interest in Japanese culture in India has always been present, but a uniformity, like a place to come together and share the interests, is very recent. So so they were all scattered earlier.
So anime is something, which actually brings these people together, and also it has increased, I feel, the interest for Japanese culture among people. And another thing I feel, with really international restaurants coming to Mumbai. So now people are actually interested to go out and try different Japanese food, and many of them, they really like it and make it a habit to visit these restaurants like regularly.
Mumbai Anime Club is one of the oldest anime clubs in the city. It was literally made in 2009 or 10. When we started, we had about maybe 25 to 30 members. Just a bunch of like-minded kids who joined in to discuss their favorite anime, because that was considered weird back then. It's not anymore, and I'm very glad to see it be very, very mainstream.
So I was going to this language school called Hayakawa, which is in Chennai, and I guess since then my interest for the language and culture has just skyrocketed, and I was very fortunate to meet a lot of people who share the same interests there.
I work for a company called Circuit, and our main product is called Pop Circuit. We're India's largest anime merchandise brand. We are also working on a bunch of other anime related companies. So the goal for Circuit is to bring all the anime fans in India together. We were working on growing anime in Chennai. We started the Chennai Anime Club, and then aside from the Chennai Anime Club, which is a community run club, we also decided to start Circuit at IIT Madras. We partnered with a Japanese company to bring anime merchandise to Chennai. We also focus on helping artists monetize their work. We try to make art and animation more financially viable as a career by helping them turn their artwork into merchandise. We also study Japanese on a daily basis on our Discord server. People of all levels are welcome to join us, from absolute beginners to superb experts. We are also going to be organizing Chennai's first ever cosplay walk event at the end of April. So we're looking forward to meeting you all there. Switch Fest is an annual online All India festival that we held in the pandemic because there were no other festivals to attend. And because it is the only one, it was the largest one in India. Switch Fest featured artists from different parts of the country giving workshops on character design and manga creation. We also had a panel discussion on state of comic creation in India.
regarding the cosplay party, with the pandemic going on, everything was online. Everything was online, just video format or picture format. What we did different was we made it where the cosplayers were on video with the judges. I was one of the judges along with two others. I think it was like a con experience, but online.
We never had an anime con before 2018, and in August we had formed the Chennai Anime Club, and it was immediately followed in September by the Phoenix Anime Expo.
In the Phoenix Anime Expo, we had a bunch of events which took place, which featured stuff like there was a cosplay contest, there was even a ramen eating contest, and there was a illustration, like a manga illustration workshop, and we had a manga cafe. We also had something called as Japan Night, which was organized by the Consulate General of Japan in Chennai. So that event was basically a place where a lot of students from Japanese language schools in Chennai, as well as members of the Japanese community who were residing in Chennai, they would come together and put up little performances or like a series of performances for people to watch.
One of the first events we attended as a group as the Chennai Anime Club was a Henna Doll Festival organized by the IJCCI, the Indo-Japan Chamber of Commerce and Industry. They also run a lot of Japanese language classes, and this particular event was run by the students. The festival was a display of Japanese traditional toys and dolls. It is very similar to the South Indian tradition of displaying dolls during Navratri.
Yeah, so do feel free to join Chennai Anime Club. You don't need to be someone from Chennai first of all to join there. You can be from any part of the world. We are more than happy to welcome you over.
Ever since I started watching anime, when I was like, I guess around 3 or 4 years old, and I think it was in Animex, like Yoshi said. From then, I started like the interest about like the Japanese culture started growing. At first, it wasn't like there, and then as I started growing older, I started getting more interested in like a Japanese culture.
My cosplay name is Tsuyoshi Shiba. I have been cosplaying for quite a while now, I'd say, like ever since the first NAJ event, that Nagaland Anime Junkies event. So yeah, even though I've been cosplaying for a long time, I don't cosplay as much as I'd like to.
So we started like 2014, I think, 13 or 14. But we started just as a page where we just wanted to post memes and all that regarding anime and stuff. So after that, we did these online competitions for the fun of it. We had competition, we had drawing competition, all that stuff regarding, just random stuff. We were doing it for fun. Well, right now we only do cosplay, right? Because most of the members of the different otakus, they have their own work, they have their own stuff. So we only have like one event a year for Shangri-La only. Started in 2017. Back then we had like 30 cosplayers who came, and we had a lot of support. A lot of people came, like especially from Arunachal and all that. We had Chichi and Juno coming and judging our event. We had Choi Mei. Then yeah, it was a very small event. We just did it because we just wanted to see how it is, and then it became quite like we had a lot of fun. So a lot of people were like quite surprised at the number of cosplayers and all that came to the event. That's when we were like, okay, I think we can do this yearly, and over time it just grew bigger and bigger. Only I think right now the community in Shillong is quite strong when it comes to cosplay and all that.
So even for Nagaland Anime Junkies, we started as a Facebook page, and in 2011 started by Vivi, and then we just thought about like it was a community where we just wanted to share our love for anime and comics and all those things. And we started CosFest from 2013, and we did conduct a CosFest as a yearly event, but on the other hand, we also have like smaller events and also collaborations with other events as well. So I think that can suffice a little bit about NAJ, how it started.
So in Konichiwa, Pune, basically we had for business and relations, we have panel discussions with various companies was presenting their presentations, and local people were having discussion with those that how to how to think about the business if you want to enter in the Japanese business industry. So IJBC is established in 2011. So IJBC is basically a bilateral chamber where we are having India and Japan engagement in business, economic, trade, education and cultural activities engagement. Fireside chat is the segment where we have our media member, Ms. Shefali. She hosts this event. So she has one guest every time and she interviews the person. So those are not only related with the Japanese language but anything related to Japan. So Timavi is Tirak Maharashtra Vidyapit, which is another institute in Pune, which teaches Japanese language. Timavi has different collaborations with different universities in Japan. In Timavi also they arrange cultural workshops like shodo, calligraphy or origami as well as kyogen. In the last month they have a kyogen workshop which is old style, comedy style of Japan, like rakugo.
So, Indo-Japan Chamber of Commerce and Industry is a non-profit organization and was founded in 2006 by a group of entrepreneurs from India and Japan. Basic activities like any other Chamber of Commerce, it is into conducting the seminars and then the knowledge sessions and then the industry tours just to understand the best practices and B2B meetings. We closely work with JETRO, the Japan External Trade Organization, and the other Japanese bodies here. Japan Habba is one of the major and lot of contribution from Indo-Japan Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
I am the charter president of Jinsei Dojo. This is a bilingual Japanese Toastmasters club that started on 1st of June 2014. So here we have different activities such as impromptu speaking and prepared speeches, and at the end we also do evaluation of those speeches. So the speaker not only gets an opportunity to speak in front of an audience, also carries home feedback given to him on his or her performance. We like to mention about Japanese speaking night, which later turned out to be a Japanese speaking event. It's easy for Japanese, but all the Indians participating there must use only Japanese language.
That is a forum wherein the Japanese people and the Indian, the language learners here would get an opportunity to interact. We had nice conversations, some good music, and somebody used to speak in Japanese.
The Teachers Association of Bangalore, which is called as Bangalore Nihongo Kyoshi Kai. Nihongo is Japanese language and Kyoshi are the teachers. Bangalore Japanese Teachers Association was created, conceptualized by Hata Sensei in the year 2005.
So they can be a part of all the workshops that Japan Foundation conducts and also BNK conducts. So it's a good learning forum, and also they all the information about the happening about the language, culture, they would be informed first through BNK.
How Bangalore Anime Club started. So at the end of 2000s, a bunch of really cool people who were all united by the same passion, which is the passion for anime. So they all of them came together and formed Bangalore Anime Club. And since then, Bangalore Anime Club has been an integral part of anime community in India.
Animaniac, it is the official anime club of ISC. It conducts a lot of events, and that is what it's mainly known for, ranging from quizzes to movie screenings to a few discussions here and there on campus to a few music sessions on our club Discord.
Basically, I was one of the people who got introduced to Japanese culture through Animax, which is one of the dear shows that used to be airing Japanese shows long back. And that was kind of an introduction, not just to anime, but a lot more about Japanese culture, because back in the day, they had a lot of shows that detailed about, various things like the tea ceremonies or the maid cafes?
Yeah, THAP. That's the thing that I in 2015 when I was in Hyderabad. So I went to THAP for the first time in the month of April, something like that. So that's where THAP is all about trying to gather all the people who love anime. So that is the main core of THAP.
Old Hyderabad Anime Club used to do a lot of activities like doing meetups, and they also brought a one Japanese movie, Fate series, 10 years ago. And suddenly, actually, it was quite a well club, but suddenly it was dead, and no response from any admins, old admins, and all. We tried to reach out, but we couldn't find any trace of them. New Hyderabad Anime Club was formed by me and Ali Sama and guys from one of the guys from Chennai. Yeah, and we also have a Hyderabad cosplay community where some of them are anime cosplayers too.
Today I've been asked to talk about this project that I've been running called Sekai to Watashi. So it's a Japanese language chat space, and it's held almost every week. And I started this in April 2020, right about the time when the pandemic hit the world. So let me take you through what Sekai to Watashi is. What does an event look like? So one event is about 90 minutes long. We start out with 30 minutes of a free talk session where you just get to know the participants, followed by a quick 5-minute sort of introduction to people who are new to Sekai to Watashi, about the rules of Sekai to Watashi. Then we have a guest join us every time. And the point of the guest is not to give a lecture, but to give a new perspective on the theme of that day. And then we have a 45 minutes of breakout room sessions where we have different types of breakout rooms based on the theme of that day. And then it's followed by a quick photo session, and that's the 90 minutes. That's how this 90 minutes is spent.
Nihongo Kaiwa Kyokai Society, which is an association of Japanese language teachers, students, and more importantly, ex-students. They formed this community in 1985, I believe.
IJC stands for Indo-Japan Student Conference. So it's like organized by NKKS, and it's a way for Indian students to interact with Japanese students directly, physically or virtually, as it turns out to be. Like in the recent years, it has turned into a virtual one.
IGC first started in 1997. So in 1997, the first conference was held in Kolkata itself.
And of course, a part of it is also the homestay experience. That's a very unique opportunity to stay in a foreigner's friend's home and experience the way of life.
So basically, when the conference happens in India, or the Indian side calls it IJSC, India-Japan Student Conference, and the Japan side calls it JISC, Japan-India Student Conference. And JISC from Japan side, it's an established organization that works on their own. And through JISC, the conference is held in Japan.
As you know, that the Kolkata International Book Fair is, I think, the biggest book fair in Asia. Japan started participating in the Kolkata International Book Fair. Other than that, we had activities by the people of Calcutta, people who take interest in Japanese culture. For example, we have Origami Club. Then we had the band Yume come and perform Japanese music. Then we had cosplay, of course. There was a mad rush.
So Inichi Bunkasai. I've been part of the previous few Inichi Bunkasais, as I've been a student of RKM and a member of NKKS. And every year they do a lot of things, a lot of presentations, dramas, plays, recitations and everything. It's a very fun event to be a part of. It's filled with people that love Japan and the Japanese culture. It's really a fun part to be with. Being that Inichi Bunkasai Fest.
Japan Curry is a group of student volunteers, students, Japanese language students, that they're highly interested in promotion of an introduction of Japanese culture to the people here. So yeah, they have been doing good work, especially during the pandemic, making videos on Japan, be it cooking, be it anime, be it history. Sankaku Productions. There's a guy called Rohan. He has a deep interest in filmmaking, and so he decided to bring his friends and make a short movie. So they made a 3-minute movie called Komorevi, and of course the film was very well made, a very good message, and they came then they came second in the entire South Asia, which was a very good feat.
I primarily manage Kolkata Anime Club. It's a Facebook-based group, but we're also present on other social media. What KC primarily used to do, because of the pandemic, we cannot do that right now, is host offline meetups for anime enthusiasts. Now, we say anime, but there are enthusiasts for other aspects of Japanese pop culture as well. We used to hold monthly meetups, and a lot of things happen at these meetups. Cosplay, Duel Masters, Beyblade, all of these things that we used to watch see in the anime that we were watching, but didn't have anybody else to talk about it with, or just play Duel Masters, etc.
Okay, yeah. It was in 2018. The first Japan Utsav was organized. And the objective was to do a lot of Japan-related events under one roof, so people can come at one place and experience a lot of activities. And we try to keep both traditional and modern culture events.
So Yume is a Japanese band based in Kolkata, and I'm the vocalist of Yume. Yume was formed back in March 2019.
Coming to one of the newer things that Yume is doing this year onwards is something called the Yume Collaborative. So the Yume Collaborative is a collaborative platform for artists, musicians, singers, songwriters, video producers, sound mixers, anyone and everyone who is interested in Japan, Japanese music, and would like to contribute to the scene in their own way.
So anyone who is a Japanese learner in Kolkata, or a Japanese teacher, or anyone who is interested about Japan and want to be a part of this Japanese community and Japanese culture scene in Kolkata, please join NKKS. The best thing about it is NKKS is looking for young members to take responsibilities of organizing events. If you are a young member who want to be a part of this scene, please join us. NKKS will be much happy to have you on board.